To the May Cloudy County Extension Community Call. So I'm pretty excited about this one because I feel like the last couple of meetings we've been building up towards talking about teams, which I think might be why most people are here is to learn more about teams. But we did want to cover some of the more the foundation, I guess, of it in Office 365 and file management and stuff like that. So if you missed those calls, they were recorded. And we'll post a link to a YouTube playlist that we are maintaining of all the previous recordings if you'd like to take a look at them. But Joe, how are you doing, man? I didn't say
Good,
hi.
great. Certainly one of our probably one of our favorite apps to talk about. So looking forward to today.
Yeah, and I will preface this call with a little asterisk. Teams is a lot. There's a lot going on in Teams. There's a lot of things it can do. And so our call today is going to focus primarily on what we like to call the anatomy of teams, like what makes teams, what are the bits and pieces and parts of it, navigating it. So we're going to go on like a little tour of the Teams application itself. And actually this entire training call, we are not even going to talk about meetings and Teams. So we want to really emphasize the fact that Teams is not a meeting app. It's a collaboration app. And so all you're going to hear about today is how to navigate and how to work with other people inside or even outside your institution. For those who are new, no, I guess everybody's new because we're only 3 months old, but the the general way our meetings are supposed to work is we talk in the beginning couple of minutes, we talk about anything that's new, anything that's come out that we feel like impacts you or extension or any important stuff that's changed in the industry itself as far as it relates to Office 365. And then we're going to go into the feature highlight, which today is Microsoft Teams. And then we'll turn the recording off and open it up for any kind of questions. And feel free to ask questions during the presentation. That's totally fine. But if you want to wait until the end, if you want to come off mute or just ask about something completely random or different from the topic, that's totally fine too. And we usually don't record those bits and pieces of the call. So we have one thing I want to share with you that's new. We haven't done a what's new in the first two calls because we hadn't really gotten up to speed yet on Office 365 with you. And so let me share my screen. Actually, I'm going to share a window of my screen. And so this is office.com. We covered this in the very first call. This is the thing that we said, you got to go here to get started. This is like the hub of Office in the cloud. And one new thing that's come out that I feel like relates to extension specifically is especially useful for extension is a lot of you probably have an identity or an account or an email address from your state university. And then you might also have one from your local county government. And so it's very common for our agents to have to handle this dual identity type situation. And so a thing with office.com that is very, very new is when you log into office.com, you can actually go up to your profile here and you'll see the ability to sign into it with multiple accounts and switch your context between different accounts that you're logged in with. So like, here's my UF one, here's my Cloudy County one, here's another one I goof off with. I could add another one there if I wanted to. And you can just click this button and it will move office.com over to that identity without you having to like sign out and sign back in. So I feel like probably very, very useful, like I said, for extension, especially because you're probably having to log into different things with different accounts. And so this is one less hoop you have to jump through to get to stuff. If you're an office.com user, which I feel like everybody should always be kind of have this open on the side or looking at it, so you can see apps and stuff like that, you'll have the ability to rapidly switch back and forth between state and county credentials. So,
And that's something that we've shown previously and talked about different places. If you've been using this product for a little while, where your browser can do that too. but it's a little clunkier. You can have different browser profiles if your browser supports that. And this is certainly clearer and simpler to implement and really designed just for the Office suite.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's a long time coming, I think. Like I'm surprised it took this long for that for that to come out. But I'm glad that it did. And again, like when I saw that, I was like, I know a lot of people who struggle with this. And so this is going to make their life a little bit more streamlined. So let me go ahead and get my notes up here, and I'm going to share another screen. And we'll get started on talking about Teams. What everybody's here for, right? Okay, so first things first, we've got a link that we'll drop in the chat on how to get the latest version of Teams. When you joined Cloudy County, you received an email from us on like getting up on Teams, and that link is in that email too, if you ever misplace it. But I'm going to go ahead and start by looking at Teams itself. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start up here at the very top right corner. This top right corner is your profile area and the settings area for the Teams app itself. And again, I keep talking about the first couple meetings that we had. There's some consistency around how Office 365 is designed. And you know, one of those things is the meatball menu. The meatball menu is always going to give you more options, more settings, more things that you can do. So in here in the meatball menu, you have some kind of overlooked things like this one, Zoom. It doesn't mean the meeting app. It means like, let me zoom in on what I'm looking at. You can also hold your, if you have a mouse wheel, you can hold down the control key on your keyboard and you can roll your mouse wheel up and down. And this will let you zoom in and it will make everything in the application a little bit bigger. Side note, I know I said I wasn't going to talk about meetings, but I have to right now. This is relevant. You can actually do this when somebody is sharing their screen and presenting content. So if somebody has a big monitor and you're having a hard time, like the letters are tiny, you can control mouse wheel, or I think, Joe, is it control plus and minus?
Plus, control minus.
Yeah. So control plus, control minus. Maybe you've got a laptop with a trackpad, you don't have a mouse wheel. You can actually zoom in on the presentation. And then you can drag around it, you know, like you can move around it to get a better view of whatever it is that that person is sharing. So that's an important part of the Zoom functionality. You can check for updates. You can send yourself a link to the mobile app if you don't have the mobile app. And you can do some stuff in here like check your version and things like that. But most importantly, you can go into settings. So here in settings, you're going to get all the like comfort display type things. So do you like light mode? Do you like dark mode? So dark mode is pretty nice. I don't usually do my demos with dark mode because I don't feel like that's what, I don't know. I just feel like most people are looking at Teams in the default view. So I usually leave it in default so that it looks like what you see. You have some what's called chat density. So if I were to open up the chat, and I've got a chat going on with Joe, you know, see how it's kind of like spread out, I guess would be the right word. If I go into my settings and I change my chat density to compact, now it's like moved over to the left and it's smushed a little bit more. I actually can see more on the screen. Like I couldn't see this whole fluid component earlier, but now I can. So I'll switch it back so you can see kind of the difference there. There you go. Moving on down the settings, we have what is called the layout. This is a big one because it's important to understand that your version of Teams that you have for your institution is what's called an academic version of Teams or an educational version of Teams. In the EDU world, things look a little bit different than they do for, let's say, a private business, a Fortune 500 company or whatever. They have just the regular enterprise version of Teams. So when you look at your Teams application and you look at all the teams that you're a member of, you might see them in boxes like this. This is called grid view. Grid view is an education only thing. Nobody else on the planet looks at teams like this other than education. A couple of years ago, Microsoft made this the default view when you're looking at teams and you have an educational subscription. So it's not terrible. I actually run in grid view most of the time. I kind of swap back and forth a little bit, but most of the time I'm in grid view because that's what other people are probably seeing. When you click on a team in grid view, it kind of eliminates a lot of side noise. Like over here on the left side, I don't see anything else other than the team that I clicked on. And thinking about this from the perspective of student, this allows them to focus on a team, which is likely also the class that they're taking. So it eliminates any distraction or noise or anything like that. Now, if you're a multitasker, if you're a person that's like, I want to see everything, I am the eye of Sauron, I must see all things, all times, all the time, then maybe switch over to list view, because when you're in list view, like I can see something, and then if something happens in another channel, I'll see it go bold. Joe, can you drop a message in like Shift Show General or something? And we'll see that channel go bold. But that's what list view does for you, is it allows you to see a lot of things simultaneously. So I'm looking at Cloudy County General, sort of glitched out my app here. There we go. I'm looking at Cloudy County General, but I can see that there was activity over in this other team. And the way I know that there was activity is it's in bold. And so if I click on that, I'll see Joe dropped a message in there. He didn't tag me. He didn't push an announcement to me or notification or anything like that. It's just bold indicates, hey, there's something going on that you haven't looked at yet. And so I feel like list view allows you to see those things at a higher level versus, like I said, grid view lets you really focus in on one team at a time.
Yeah, I was going to say scroll down on. Yeah, just I wasn't sure you're going to scroll down there. I think the one item to call out there is register teams as the app for chat, basically your chat app. You might be, I don't know, maybe there's still Skype possibly out there. You're maybe in a transition between Skype and Teams still. That might be a way that you can bring Teams as your primary chat if you want to start transitioning over.
Yeah, you'll see stuff like if you receive an email from someone, there'll be like a little chat button on their profile card. And that's what this is going to do. Like when you click that chat button, it's saying, well, when I click the chat button, which application actually am I going to use to send the chat? So most people probably, there's not a lot of Skype out there now, but who knows, maybe we don't have it anymore here in Florida. So lots of various, I'm not going to go through every single checkbox, but lots of various checkboxes that can be used for troubleshooting. So if you're dealing with IT, they might say, can you please disable GPU support or something like that? So that's where that box is. And hopefully they'll tell you about that. Can also schedule your out of office from here. Now in our university where our Outlook and Teams are intertwined, if I configure an out of office message in Outlook, it's automatically going to display in Teams. But you could do it here manually too, if you wanted to. Accounts. This is kind of new. This is where you're going to see other institutions that you have become a guest of. So if you've attended the AMPIC conference for the National Ag Agents Association, you'll see the University of Florida listed there. If you've accepted the membership of Cloudy County, you've gone through that onboarding process where we sent you the invite and you redeemed it and you became a member, you'll see it here as well. So you might see 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 or however many institutions you've become a member of. If you're collaborating with someone from another university, then you'll see it here as well. One thing that you can do that's new, I don't have this particular account isn't a member of any other guest organizations, but one thing that you could do is you could leave that organization if you wanted to, and you can click this manage button, which will take you to an account management website for your account specifically, and you can click on organizations and you'll see all the organizations that you're a member of. Like I was messing around with somebody from Washington University. And so if I'm done, I can click leave and it will yank me out completely out of their entire system, not just leave the team that I was in, leave the whole thing. So kind of a nuclear option. Don't use it if you don't really need to, but that's where you could do some account management. Joe, you ever do anything in privacy? Because I don't.
I guess I would say, thankfully, I've not had to.
Yeah, I haven't had any issues that make me, like, I don't know, read receipts if you really want to turn that kind of thing off. I mean, I haven't really messed around in here a whole lot. I haven't had a need to. Notifications is really useful. Joe, we have a podcast on how to not lose it in Teams. I think that was actually the name of the podcast. The notifications, you are in complete and total control of how much Teams annoys you, how much poking and prodding is it going to do when you're using it. Do you want to get a banner every single time somebody sends you a chat message, pop up from the bottom of your screen down by your clock? No, you can turn that off for when you get a message or when they mention your name or anything like that. You can turn it off for when people reply to something that you posted. Do you not want to get a notification for that? Or do you want to get more notifications for that? So going through and messing with these, a big one here is the notification style, kind of hard to describe, but if you look in Windows or Mac, you'll have like a activity feed. So down here, I see I've got 4 notifications and it's in this like feed. If you switch your notification style to Windows, then you'll see Teams notifications in the same feed. Otherwise, they're just in the ether somewhere and don't go there. But without getting into it too much, it's really important to remember you get to decide how much noise Teams makes. So if you feel like this is too much, well, know that you can go in here to notifications and you can dial it down a little bit. So, and as we cover channels and stuff like that, you'll see more. Joe, I thought I saw a chat thing.
It was about
Diagnostics.
Yeah, for meetings.
Yeah, that's something if you're working with IT and you're having a weird problem, they might ask you to send them some log files or something like that. That's not uncommon for us IT nerds to say, hey, can you send me the logs? And you're like, logs, what the heck? No, it's a text file with a bunch of information in it that we need to comb through. So that's what that would be about. Devices. This is really important. This is where you say, here's the camera I want to use. Here's the speakers I want to use. Here's the microphone that I want to use. Teams also has this ability to automatically dial up the gain of your microphone and dial it down. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. If you have a really nice headset and a semi-professional setup or something like that, you might want to turn this off because you might want to be in control. But if you're just using the lid of your laptop or a webcam or something like that, then auto sensitivity is probably good for you. Moving on down, we have noise suppression. So there are some really interesting demonstrations of noise suppression. Noise suppression will cancel out any kind of repetitive droning noise, like an air conditioner or a vacuum cleaner or something ticking in the background or something like that. I have not yet figured out how to make it cancel my dog, and my kids when they come running in, doesn't do that. But it does do a pretty good job of any kind of noise that's background noise. There's a guy who did a video where he was running a vacuum cleaner. Like you could see it. He has the vacuum cleaner in his hands and he's talking into his microphone and it was working fine. It was pretty cool. I've seen stuff with like people Joe, we did one with like a bag of chips or something, or a plastic bag or something like that.
Yeah, so I think it was a bag of chips.
Yeah, and he was sitting there like this, and it totally canceled it out, which was pretty cool. If you have a nice microphone or you're playing music through a screen share or something like that, high fidelity music mode is a semi-new option. It's only been out for like maybe 2 months, maybe 3 months, and I'll never forget the first time I went to demonstrate it in our internal community calls, like, yeah, we have high fidelity music mode. I'm going to turn it on. And then my entire thing crashed. So it burned me once. I've been a little scared to turn it on again. Secondary ringer. This is really cool. If you have speakers, but you have Teams set to use your headset, you know, if somebody calls you and it's ringing in your headset and your headset's sitting on your desk and you're like across your office or something, you might not hear it. So you can actually configure a secondary audio device to also ring at the same time. So you could configure your speakers that are on your monitor, or if you've got speakers plugged in or whatever they might be. So it will ring them both. So if you're away from your desk, you can hear it ring and you can run over and pick up your call, which is pretty cool. And then, of course, I think cameras, pretty self-explanatory. Not a lot in here. Don't worry about it. Most of the time, I'm just going to skip right on over it. Captions and transcripts. I wouldn't worry about this either. Identifying you in a transcript is a good thing. So I don't consider that a big brother thing at all. It's a part of meetings and collaborating. So when Teams meetings are recorded, your voice is recorded and transcribed into text, and it says Dwayne said XYZ. And this is a pretty good one, though. Files. So a few new things in here. Number one, changing the location of where downloads go. If you download a file out of Teams, by default, it just goes straight into your downloads folder. Maybe you don't like that. Maybe you want to do something different where you put it in a folder on your desktop or something like that. You can change that. You can change that location now. And then this is a big one, file open preference. There's all kinds of files in Teams, right? And so when you're dealing with Office files, if you click on a spreadsheet, so let me go, I'll set this to Teams, and then I'll go over here and go into my files tab for a particular channel. And then I will click on this spreadsheet. Well, it opens the spreadsheet inside of Teams, and that's not, now what do I do, right? Like I want to go back and look at the Teams I was in. Oh, it kicked me out of the spreadsheet, you know? So it could be a little clunky. So know that you can change that. So if you go into your settings and you go to files, and you say always open with my desktop app. And now when I click on that same spreadsheet, it opened up full Excel. Now Excel's running in the foreground and Teams will be running in the background, and I can switch back and forth between them, and I don't lose my place or my, you know, where I was at inside of Teams at that moment. So, well, while that's taking its sweet time, we'll keep moving on. Joe, you got anything else? Because I think we just ran through, oh, calls, yeah. So calls, I skipped one, didn't I? Test call, where was that at? Yes,
That's
test
on our
call.
list, yeah.
Yeah, let me go back to this. So in devices, if you're in here and you're tweaking your audio and your video and speakers and all that kind of stuff, you can make a test call to like the quote unquote system, like to the computer, and it will let you speak and then it will play it back for you. So if you want to make sure that you sound right and look right before you jump into a big call or a big meeting or something like that, highly advise doing the test call. If like you really just want to make sure, okay, I sound good, I look as good as it's going to get, and I'm ready to go and jump into this meeting. You can go into settings, devices, make a test call, and you know, or call a friend. So, okay. So that's everything that's at the top right. Profile, you know, set your picture, those types of things at the top right, and then settings under the meatball menu. We're going to move over to the left a little bit. Oh, Joe, you got something. You look like you're going to say something.
Back under the profile picture, sometimes we like to use the status. Set your status message can be sometimes a nice thing to do. Setting that status will show up, like if someone's chatting with you and you look at your chats, that's going to show up just above the entry where you might enter a chat to them, kind of give an idea. Maybe they're away for the half a day, or there's something there, you know, they're busy, do not disturb, and they're kind of asking for a little focus time. But you're going to see that information when you're looking to chat with that person.
Yeah, good call. This is a nice thing, like to let people know you're on the road that day. Maybe you're traveling between, customers or clients or offices or districts or whatever. You could throw that in there and say, hey, I might not message you back right away, but give me some time and then I will. You can give them a heads up by using a status message. So it's kind of like not an out of office. It's like in between. It's a status message. Good. Thank you, Joe. That's a really good one to talk about. Okay, so as we move over, we're going to move into this bar. This bar says search in it. And I think in my experience, people just skip right over it. They don't really spend a lot of time here. And search is one of the most powerful things in Teams, in my opinion. It is incredible. As you become more unraveled in teams and stuff like that, you're going to be a member of lots of teams, and maybe there's some similar data types between teams and spreadsheets and procedures and whatever. Using the search bar is a really, really good way to find stuff, and a really good way to find people, and a really good way to find chats that you've been in. So I've got, I don't have a lot of chats to show you in this particular team system, but I've got a group chat here that I've named. So let's say I don't use this group chat for 6 months and it scrolls off into oblivion. Well, it's called Enterprise Captains. So I can go up to my search bar and I can type in Enterprise and it pulls up that group chat. So I don't even have to, maybe like I do this a lot. I don't even go to the chat and try to find like the chat in my list. I just say, oh yeah, I'm in a chat with Joe and it's called, Teams Ninjas or whatever. And so I type in the word ninja and it comes up and I click on it and boop, it takes me right back into it. And that's a really, really good way to find a chat that you're in. Now, let's say you want to look for something a little bit more specific. So I'm thinking, I'm going to type in the word quick. Now it says it couldn't find anything, and we're gonna try again. Joe, I thought we had something. There we go. So these up here. So once you drop into search and you see these links right here, you know what? I forgot. I had a nifty little. Oops, that's not right. Make it blue. So these are called search verticals. These are different types of subjects or different types of topics of things that you can search for. So I could search for messages. Now, again, remember I said I don't have a lot of content or chat or whatever for this particular account, but you could search every single message that you have access to. That's a lot. Let's say you're in 20 teams. And those 20 teams have got a bunch of channels and a bunch of messages. And you've also got 100 different chats that you've been a part of. This will search all of those in just a couple of seconds. Let's say you remember what you're looking for. Let me type, we'll just type in a word that I know will come back with some messages, the word cloud. And it's, I know that it was a chat message, not a channel message. So I can type in, select the message type, and I can say chat. So this is going to narrow my search down to only show me chat messages. I could even say, I know it was a chat message from a specific person. So I'll type in Angel's name here. Oops, go external Angel. And boom, I've zeroed in onto one specific message out of all the messages that I have access to. And there's lots of other things, date ranges, mentions, attachments, those types of things are in there as well. You can search for people. So if I typed in the word card, I get a profile picture and, access to be able to talk to this person. This is another really important, consistent thing through Office is the people card. If you hover over a person's profile picture, you get this little people card that gives you some actions. I can send a chat message and click it, and it will open up a direct chat. You could do that in a meeting. So a lot of people talk about like, I can't send private chat. Dang it, I said I wasn't going to talk about meetings, Joe, and here I go. You say like, I can't send private chats to people while I'm in a Teams meeting. If you hover over their profile card, You can open up a one-on-one chat with them that's completely separated from that meeting entirely. It doesn't get much more private than that. So the profile card, or people card rather, is really important to remember. You can copy their email address really quickly and conveniently if you're trying to like paste it into Outlook or whatever. Look at some organizational data if your organization has set that up, and you can start a video call or an audio only call. And this is new, this time zone. If you're dealing with multiple time zones, we have 2 time zones in Florida, only 1 hour difference, but I can hover over somebody and I can see if they're behind me or ahead of me or whatever. So that's pretty convenient.
And hopefully you're playing at home, and if you've got your Teams app open, you could be doing some test queries and trying this out in your own tenant.
Yeah, I could spend, and I think we have spent an entire training session before just talking about the power of search. Definitely something I want to remember. So we're about halfway through, so I need to speed up, Joe. So last thing on searching for files. I want you to remember this little phrase. I don't have to remember where it is. I just have to remember what it is. So don't get intimidated or freaked out about, I don't remember where that file is. We've been so conditioned from early versions of Windows to click on my computer and click on a folder and click into a subfolder and click into another subfolder, and however you have it organized, to drill your way down into the bottom of to the depths of this folder to find that file that you're looking for. Well, what if you knew that file was a spreadsheet? What if you knew that file was a spreadsheet that said a certain word inside of it? That's what search is going to do for you. So if we were to talk about, let's take a look at this spreadsheet. I'm going to pick this term, attendees. So if I type in my search bar the word attendees, and I look at the file results, search is actually crawling through the actual internal content of that file looking for that term. In extension, this is great because you've got a horticultural agent who's working on a specific fact sheet for a certain species of something. You could type that in, and Teams is going to crawl everything that you have access to and show you every single file that you have that's related to that. That's bonkers. It's like this super powerful search engine that's specific to you that lets you reach out and hit everything that you have access to inside your institution. So very important to remember that. Also, this helps hopefully break the habit of people naming their file with the first paragraph of the document. You know, you don't have to put every single description, adjective you can possibly think of in the file name, because you notice this Cloudy County Metrics.xlsx, that's the name of the file. It doesn't say attendees in it, but it says attendees inside the file. It's giving me OneNote notebooks. It's giving me loop components, which we haven't talked about yet. Those are pretty cool. We'll get there. They're sweet. It gave me a PDF. It can look at pictures. Like this is a PNG file, this right here. So if I click on this, this is a picture that says the word attendees in it, but it's a graphic. Like I can't even highlight that text. Like that's just mind blowing. It's pulling out and extracting text from images. So if you snapped a picture of a billboard, you could then search for that content based on whatever you just took a picture of. Very powerful. All right, I have to stop talking about search. I get too excited. Joe, you got to get me back on the rails, man.
Let's talk a little bit about the we were saying anatomy or Teams topology. One of the two we want to use there.
Yeah.
The left rail, app bar, me space, we space.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're gonna throw some terminology. So we need like a little I don't know, spelling list or something. I don't know, handout of some kind, but it'll be in the recording if you miss it. So this little thing here on the left side. So let me zoom in. So this little thing here on the left side, or actually, whoops, that wasn't right. We're going to draw a box. It's a jacked up box, but it's as best as I can do. That little thing has a couple of different names. The first thing it's going to be called is the left rail. That's what techie people might call it. Some people might call it the app bar. Microsoft has this cute little phrase for it called the me space. Like anything you do there has to do with you, or like me. This is all me. I'm going to look at my activity feed, my chats, my teams, my calendar, my calls, my files. It's me, me, me. So me space is pretty good. I think that's a pretty good description. The activity feed is kind of like your first stop that you want to hit when you log in the morning and you look at Teams. This is going to give you stuff that you missed. If somebody mentioned your name, if somebody replied to a message that you posted, if somebody reacted to a message that you posted, all that kind of stuff's going to go there. There are, just like in search, I showed you some filtering. Again, another consistency in Office or in Teams is the ability to do filtering. So you could filter your entire activity feed based on a name. Like I need to see all the activity that, well, came from Joe, I guess. Joe. So that's all the activity that came from Joe. You can click these three dots and you can say, I need to see all the activities that I haven't looked at yet. So unread. Hey, look at me. Oh, wait, never mind. There's one. Did you just do that?
Yes.
I was about to say there shouldn't be anything there, but Joe threw me a curveball. So I can see Joe mentioned my name and I haven't actually looked at what he wrote in the channel yet. So it's unread. So activity feed, first stop, I think you should hit, which is probably why Microsoft put it at the top left and made it the first thing that you might likely click on. Then you can drop into chat. So these are all your chats. Chat, if you're new to Teams, I think chat is a fantastic place to start working. Chat it's easy. It's instant messaging. It's Facebook Messenger. It's AOL Instant Messenger. It's, whatever. It's all kinds of old school chat applications. This is the same thing, but it's easy to find people inside of your institution to chat with. It's also easy to find people outside of your institution to chat with. So you can start a chat by just searching somebody's name. So if you type in a person's name and click on them, boom, I'm chatting. That's how easy it is to just start a one-on-one chat with somebody. It's super informal and more efficient, in my opinion, because when you write an email, you're like, Dear Captain Jean-Luc Picard, I was asking about going on the away mission with you and your team. Signed, sincerely, Dwayne. You don't have to do that in chat. You can just say, hey, what's up? And it's just quicker. I feel like it's quicker and more efficient. You can
say
also
one thing real quick there, Dwayne, not throw you off, because like you just said, like, hey, what's up? Some etiquette around chat is giving someone an indication that you want something from them, is actually just go ahead and ask it. Is not just do, hey, how are you today? Usually we're interacting with someone with chat. There's something you need from them, and what we find is Teams can be used. We call it asynchronously. You're not always in a meeting. You might be doing some other things. You might be working on a file. So you can both save time for both of you by actually going ahead and following up with the actual question you have or the actual comment.
Yeah, Joe's talking about a principle called no hello. Don't ever just go and send that and then wait on the person to respond, because then they're looking at it like, what do you want? So be more effective and say like, hi, can I talk to you for 5 minutes about the upcoming meeting? Something like that. Like you gave a time frame, you gave a topic, you asked a question, you had a greeting, all that necessary stuff, and it's just in one little email, chat message, and that person instantly gets it, and you have synchronous communication happening now where it's boom, boom, we're going back and forth. So yes, Joe, I 100% agree with that. Moving down the left rail app bar, me space, we've got Teams. So this is where you're going to see all the teams you're a member of. Remember, I'm currently looking at Teams in list view. So you might see boxes if you're looking at your teams in grid view. Then you have your calendar. My calendar in this organization is very anemic because the only thing I do here is this meeting. So you might see lots of other things. This is your Outlook calendar. This is the same thing. It's a mimic of your Outlook calendar. This is a place where you could schedule meetings and live events and webinars, which we'll get into in future Clowney County episodes, but super powerful right here. These two are incredible. So this is where you could schedule some meetings. Join a meeting. You can also, let me go back to last month. So this is last month's Cloudy County call. I can just click on it and then hit this little arrow to make it bigger. And I see everything there was about that meeting all in one place. I see the recording. I see the transcript. I have the attendance report. I have all the chat that happened in that meeting. Dang it, I knew I was not supposed to talk about meetings, but I can't help show this. Like, you get this nice little bundle of everything that happened during that meeting. Like, if we shared any files together, were we working on a whiteboard together? You know, do we have breakout rooms? I can see the configuration of breakout rooms, all that kind of stuff, all from one neatly packaged thing inside of your calendar. So definitely try that. A great way to go back and find recordings of meetings you were invited to as well. Calling. I don't spend a lot of time in this because we don't have Teams as our telephone system. All my calling that I do is through Teams chat. We don't have the ability to dial, 10-digit telephone numbers through Teams. So I don't spend much time in here. And it's gone over some changes in the last couple of years that kind of made it a little bit more convoluted. So I'll go ahead and skip over that. Files. This is important. This freaks people out, and I want you to know why, and I want you to know it's okay. Looking at files and looking at where it says recent, it's okay. This is a private to you view of files. And so when you look at this, we've had people say, everyone can see my stuff. Like, when they click on files, look at what they see, and it's my stuff from my OneDrive. No, that's not what's happening. It says your unique view into things that you have recently touched, things that you've recently worked on. So it's really, really, really important to remember that. It's also really important to remember how to get here, because if you were working on a file and then you get sidetracked with something and then you check an email and then you come back and you're like, dang, I closed it out. Where is it at? An easy way to get to it is to just go files, recent. Oh, it's the third one I was just working on, and open it right back up. So that's way more efficient and convenient. As you move down into Microsoft Teams, you're going to see files that are only stored in other teams, and they're files that have been recently modified by you and other people. So this is a way to see, what are other people doing? I can see 51 minutes ago, Joe uploaded these PDFs into Cloudy County shared documents into the general channel. So this is also a very convenient, thing. You can see the files that you've downloaded. I don't really mess with this because I always just open up File Explorer and go to downloads. So it's just easier for me. And you can also see your OneDrive. I've never used this. Joe, have you ever clicked that and used it for anything?
Just like you did your downloads, I'm usually using the File Explorer on the computer.
Yeah, if I want to see my OneDrive, I'm going through File Explorer. I'm probably not using Teams. Sorry, Microsoft. That's just how it is. So now that we are done with the me space, we're going to race through the we space, which is this stuff right here. So the we space is your list of teams and beyond. We'll move over to the right just a little bit here in a second. These are the list of teams that you're a member of. A few things that you can do here is, just because you're in a team doesn't mean you have to pay attention to it, right? And just because somebody sends you an email doesn't mean you have to read it. So if you decide like, this team isn't really relevant to me, I don't do a whole lot of work in this, but I guess I kind of need to be in it because I don't want to look rude and leave. You could just click the 3 dots. Remember that meatball menu, more settings, and you can hide it. Get it out of your way. Get it out of your view. In my regular production and education institution, I'm in like 200 teams. I just probably hide 180 of them and concentrate on the 20 that really matter to me. I've been added to teams to help people for support or whatever it might be. And I just hide them, not a big deal. If you want to get back to it, there's 2 ways that you can find it. You can, number 1, look at your hidden teams, or you can search for it. So Dwayne's test team, the search bar, again, very powerful, very useful. Please use it. All right. So as we go and look at those meatball menus, I don't want to hide this particular team. Actually, let me unhide this team. So if I want to unhide it, it's called show. I want to go into and manage and do stuff to the team itself. I need to add a new channel, invite a member, bail out, rename it. Those types of things you can do all from here. As you click manage team, this is where you get into the settings of the team itself. This is the meat and potatoes of security inside the team itself. You can add members, approve members who have requested to join your team, kick people out, make people an owner. Side note on owners, don't make everyone an owner. At least have 2, but scale it down as much as you can. We've seen way too many issues with accidental owner oopsies, where, I didn't realize that I could delete all of that. And then we have to go recover it or something like that. You can tweak and manipulate settings on channels as far as like showing them or deleting them or recovering them. So if you have somebody delete a channel as a team owner, you can go down to this deleted section and you can recover an entire channel. So that's very important to remember. You can go into the settings. This is where you might set your team photo. And most importantly, work on permissions, right? Do you want every member in your team to be able to delete channels? Probably not. Probably not in most circumstances. So when you create your team, you want to go in here and work on these settings before you load it with all the people. Make your team, set it up before you do that.
Yeah, as an owner, these are some guardrails for your members.
Yep. Do you want your guests to be able to create and update channels? I don't know. You might. It could be a 4-H club where you've invited some club leaders or club members into a team as external guests, and they need to make an archery channel. Or you want to kind of give the club leader the ability to do more stuff. You could turn this on, which would allow them to do that. You can also control mentions. I won't dig into this a whole lot, but there is a couple of aliases called @teams and @channel where you can basically push a notification of a post, a very important post. Example of that is when I spam you all, which I try not to do too much. I go hello @team, and it blasts an announcement to 162 people. All got something pushed to Teams, and if they didn't read it in Teams, then eventually it rolled into their mailbox, because Teams will email you if you don't check your notifications. So be gentle with that, but you can turn that on and off. So you can make it so that members can't do that. So that's important to remember too. Moving down, we have channels. So these channels are, we have an analogy that we like to use where a team is a group of people that have a house together, a family, if you will, and they've come together for a specific purpose. It's a council, a committee, a search committee, a department or an office, extension office, a district, I don't know, whatever you want, just a bunch of friends. They've come together for a specific purpose. They are the team. Underneath the team, you have what are called channels. Channels are places like in a house for a specific purpose. A kitchen is for prepping and cooking food. A dining room is for eating it. A living room is for hanging out. A bedroom is for sleeping. So you have different rooms inside of your team that are purpose built for a particular topic. If you had 500 people in your team and every single conversation that they had was all in the general channel in one place, it would be very chaotic. It would be very difficult to keep up with what's going on. Like, how do I consume this information? You know, I'm looking for that one thing about that archery club and I can't find it because it's scrolled off into oblivion because there's 499 other people talking in here. So creating channels gives you a place to organize that conversation. That is, in my opinion, the trigger for when you need to create a channel is, are we talking about archery enough that it needs to be in its own channel so that we can organize and find and locate and work on that conversation together? So in Cloudy County, we created some purpose-built channels, channel for strictly for announcements, a channel that's wide open for anybody to talk about anything that they want to talk about, and a channel for announcing the information and the upcoming topics for our community calls. Inside each channel, you're going to have a files tab that's going to give you a place to store files that are related to that topic. You can also further organize files by creating folders in here. A common thing that we see is people will create an entirely new channel just so that they have a place to store files. And you don't need to do that. If you just need to make the 2021, national meeting folder and you don't have a lot of things to talk about with it, then you could just create a, 2021 meetings and just put any files that you want in there. You don't need to make a whole channel for it. You make a channel when you need to have a place that you need to have additional conversation. Let me move down into my test team so that we can talk more about tabs. So these are called tabs. Everything that's up here is called a tab. Tabs are convenient, like shortcuts or favorites, if you will. You can make a tab to lots of things. So you can make a tab to a Microsoft form. And remember when we talked early on about how Office 365 and we talked about all those different applications that are available through office.com. This is where you really start to see that those things start to come together and Teams becomes this glue, this hub of all these things that you have access to. For example, one that we use, Joe and I use internally to Cloudy County, is we have a sign-up form. If you're new here, you probably saw this. This is our sign-up form that people fill out when they want to become a member of Cloudy County. Well, I have that tabbed into Teams for convenience. I don't have to remember where to go if I want to reword this or change this or edit it or look at the responses. I just go into the channel that I work in with Joe all the time and click on this tab. So very, very convenient. You can, like I said, you can add lots of stuff. You can even add a totally random website. So if I want to go here and say, I'm going to add https www.google.com. It just made a browser page that took me straight to Google. You could send this to, if you have an external facing website for your program, you could pin it right there and make it really quick and easy for you to just hit it really fast. And for other people to hit it. I was messing around with a tab that goes to a YouTube playlist. So I can click on this. I can watch our very first meeting and it will just play it right here. Those captions. So I'm going to rewatch our first meeting. So tabs are for convenience. You can do a couple of useful things with tabs. You can pop a tab out into a separate window. So let's say I'm working on a list or I have something in a tab that's useful to me. We teach, when we've done national meetings in Teams, we teach people the agenda tab that we create that gives them the entire, conference comings and goings of the conference. It's kind of like their GPS for the conference. We tell them, well, pop that out. Now you can have that in a completely separate window. And I can go over here and I can look at stuff and I can shrink it down and it's still there. It stays in its own little dedicated window. That's a useful, very useful tip. Let me go ahead and close that out. Joe, did you say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, with respect to time here, is maybe
Yeah.
cover some basics on posting. Some of our tips there around getting a good post out, how not to accidentally post something before you're ready to.
Oh yeah. I'm going to show you two things, one leading into that. I have a test team. I highly encourage all of you to create a test team. It doesn't, I don't know how your university works. You may have to request it. You may have the ability to just go create a team, but highly encourage everyone to create a test team for yourself, make a playground, a sandbox that you can experiment and try stuff in and not be worried about breaking anything. It's totally,
Maybe
totally
bring one
fine.
or two people that are on the team's journey with you in there.
Yeah.
And again, like you said, you can practice.
Yeah. Now, when you create a team, this is important. Remember when I said a little while ago that we have the academic version of teams? This is what you're going to see, and you're going to see academic type stuff that's really geared towards K-12 education. A class team, a PLC, and a staff team don't really have much of a place in our experience for us, for how we work. So I always tell people choose other. That's always the right choice. You can't go wrong when you choose other. And give your team a name, give it a description, but don't invite anybody yet. So Dwayne's, or here, we'll just go test team 2, Dwayne. This is going to be a private team. I'm going to go next, and it's going to create the team, and then it's immediately going to say, do you want to start adding people? I always tell our users to skip this. And the reason why I tell our users to skip this is because it gives you an opportunity by yourself before you invite anybody into your house to decorate it and set it up. You can get a post ready. You can create channels the way you want. You can go in and set those settings the way that you want. And once you get everything tidied up, then you can bring people into your team. So like Joe was saying, once you have a test team and you want to start playing around, conversations in teams are really critical component of communication and collaboration in teams. By default, when you click that new post button, so when you click new conversation, you get this little box and you say, hey, people, and you hit enter, boom, it sends it. It didn't drop you down to the next line. I didn't do a carriage return like you would do in Word. So in our environment, we're allowed to delete our own messages. So you can delete it real quick and say, whoops, and then start a new conversation. And click this little button down here, that little A, that's advanced format mode. That will open it up bigger. And now you can say, hi, how is everyone doing? And, you can you get a word processor kind of at this point. You can do all kinds of formatting of the text, highlighting text. So like I'll go to everyone and I'll highlight it yellow. You can italicize things, make tables, bullet lists, numbered lists, all kinds of stuff.
True hyperlinks are helpful.
True hyperlinks. Yeah. So maybe everyone, I'll highlight that and then I'll click the little hyperlink button and I can make it go to Google and insert that. Now it's blue. I can even continue to manipulate that hyperlink and make it bold. I can make it bigger by changing the font style. I can make it like heading, which makes it larger. So you can do all those things only in advanced format mode. You can also turn your post into an announcement. This is the last thing I'll leave you with because I know we are like literally out of time. Announcements are a way of making your post visually stand out. They don't cause any extra notification. They don't force people to read them, but they do make your content more engaging. So like in Cloudy County, an announcement allows me to format it with this banner on the top. I can choose a built-in illustration. So let me go back over here. Oops, wrong team. I can choose a picture. So I can upload my own picture. I use stock images out of PowerPoint to make banners all the time. Or you can choose some pre-built illustrations. There's a fun one with like a fire-breathing dragon. right? So fire breathing dragon, everyone listen up. So you can make a big announcement and make it pop off the page. We highly go ahead.
You're gonna say, and what is it we like to say, Dwayne? It makes it look more like fun instead of work, instead of a stream of just basic text messages back and forth.
Yeah, if you just got a bunch of black and white text on the screen, you're like, this is boring, you know, like I don't want to do this. But throw in some emojis, you know, like you can even put an emoji in here on your keyboard. Pro tip for Windows users, if you hold the Windows key on your keyboard and hit the period button at the same time, you get this little emoji thing. And I can type in the word bacon and go bacon, 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 and add a bunch of bacon after after whatever it was that I wrote. Throw in a dinosaur to match the dragon. So you can add emojis all over the place. And Teams has built-in emojis that are kind of fun. They do stuff like you can also search. So there's the face palm. Like, nope. Let me find it. Where's it at? There it is. So somebody does something, I'll throw in a, you know, and he shakes his head in disappointment. So you can really make your internal collaboration content more exciting and engaging and add a little extra emotion to it. You know, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. An animated GIF, click the GIF button and say thanks. And there's one of like Tom Hanks in here. So yeah, there he is. Tom Hanks saying thanks. You know, really spice it up a little bit, make it more fun, make it interactive. Especially if you're dealing with kids, you know, in your youth programming, if you're using Teams in any way for that kind of stuff, they eat this stuff up. In fact, they will school us on it. They can communicate using only emojis. so definitely use those little extra bits and pieces to make your teams more exciting. So we're out of time. We'll probably end up doing a version 2 of this for next week.
We made it through our list.
We did make it through our list.
I think we did pretty good on what we thought might cover an hour. So
2 minutes over. But I am going to turn off the recording. Let me go ahead and kill my screen share here. I'm going to turn off the recording, and when I do that, you're more than welcome. Like I said, come off mute, ask us a question, tell us something, whatever you want to do. But I have a feeling we're probably going to be in a Teams learning series for quite a while. Now that we've kicked off with Office and Files, I think it's time that we just start concentrating on how to use Teams. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn that recording off, and feel free to hang out with us. And if you watch the recording this far, thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.